I would say, like, if somebody was watching this and they're in a time in their lives where they feel that they're not happy maybe with their 9 to 5, or maybe they are in real estate right now and things aren't going the way that they want it to go, I would say do this exercise. Is write down 50 things that you want in your life. And most people can't.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things.
Write down 50 things that you want in your life. From world tour to paying off a $500 credit card to whatever it is, just write it all down. Take a look at that list and then.
Welcome to the Adriana Ostapenko podcast. I'm here with a really good friend, Gary Hibbert. It's so good to have you here. I'm always so honored and pleased when you take up on my invitation to come to my home and we can spend some time together. We're just talking about connection and how important that is. So I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Gary does quite a few things. He's an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur of some sorts. Has so many experiences on different things. He owns a real estate brokerage, an investment firm, amongst many other things. I'll let you dive into a little bit. What would you want everybody to kind of know about you?
Well, I think I want everybody to know, I would say, about me would be that I'm no different than anybody else. I just decided to just take some different actions. And I decided to do that because of where I was in my life. And I would say it all really kind of started, I don't share this story too often, but it started back in like 2006. My brother brought The Secret over. When I saw The Secret, I'm like, what? I can just write stuff down? Now, The Secret didn't go into the full action part, but it at least had the first layer or level
the first awareness
of like writing it down and believing in that. And if you have that belief that it can happen, now there's obviously the action piece that's very important as well too. And what that did was it led me to then dig a little deeper, and in that digging I came across Jim Rohn. And I would say Jim Rohn had probably the largest impact on my life. Actually, just yesterday I actually did an event with our real estate investment club, and I at the end wrapped it up with like 3 Jim Rohn quotes that changed my life. And so that really kind of got me down the path of, oh, I can change my life. Oh, we are human beings, and that we're not just driven by instinct, but we can actually change, and we can change now. You know what I mean? And you can start to change that direction now. If I'm sad, I can be happy now, right? And so then understanding and seeing that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm in some financial difficulty now. How do I change that? Now, back in 2008, and I came up, I realized that, and I'll make a long story short, was that I couldn't even outpace inflation at 2% back then. And so I think we all know about inflation today.
Now, yes.
And so if I couldn't outpace it then, well, how do I outpace it? And that was when I came across real estate. And I'm like, well, my home that I have has bailed me out 3 times. In other words, taking all my debt, put it into my mortgage, taking all my debt, put it into my mortgage. What if I had one more property? And I always remember my dad always saying this, is that, man, when I was younger, if I had some money, I'd buy land. If I had some money, I'd buy land. And so there was something there with that, like this land. And, you know, now I look back, I'm like, oh, well, God's not making any more land. And if I own a piece of land, maybe that will help me preserve my wealth. And that was really the start of the whole exploration of it. And then in 2010, I started a club called Smart Home Choice. 2 years later, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to educate people on how to invest in real estate. I knew very little. I had made so many mistakes between 2008 and 2010. But what I did was I said, let me educate myself. And so I joined the club. And then I said, instead of me educating people, why don't I bring in experts? And then I can learn from them and then educate people who are interested in learning and watching my journey as well, and being completely transparent, showing the mistakes that I was making along the way, showing some of the success that I was having. And then every single week I would write a newsletter of sharing my story of what I was doing and what I was doing in my life. And then that also helped me write a book, which Jim Rohn taught me, is that we don't just think about writing a book, you just start writing a paragraph, or break it down, even to a sentence, or the title. And so then I became an author back in I think it was 2012 or 2013 on a specific topic, which was rent to own, which is a strategy that I like beautiful homes in beautiful neighborhoods. And then I quit my job in 2014. And I kind of packed my bags and packed my parachute, and I knew that it wasn't going to be very graceful, but I felt like as if I planned it and executed to the best of my ability, it was like, don't leave your full-time job until your part-time job becomes your full-time job. And now I was getting to this point of where I was working at TD, but I was also working just as long in my part-time job, and literally just waking up, going to work, coming home, working on my part-time job. And once I got to that point, I'm like, okay, I gotta give this thing a chance. And I decided to leave when I had enough cash flow coming in, and that back then, and I'll share these numbers, is that the cash flow that I had from all the properties was around $1,600, which was enough to cover my mortgage payments.
Wow.
And so then I was like...
Different times.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I can do it. But I didn't have enough money for food or groceries, but I was like, but my neighbors are really nice. So I can go knock on the door, I can get some sugar, I can get some flour. But that was how I made the decision. And then we just executed it, and we just did everything that we could to continue to educate ourselves. And to this day, my newsletter comes out every single week. That's one of the best things that I ever did. And if anybody's listening, write your story, write what you do in a newsletter, or just to share your story. It doesn't have to be stats and data. It can just be your journey. And what you're doing is you're creating fans and people that want to listen and follow you. And it wasn't until I think 2020 that I actually then now had somebody to help me with my newsletter, because now 10 years I did that for every week.
That's a really incredible discipline.
Yeah. And so then in 2017 I started another company which is called Deep Pocket, which is private investing, and I brought in a partner who was way smarter than me. And what I started learning also as well too is that you don't have to do it all on your own, as long as you're doing it with people that complement you. And so that's what I've been doing throughout this journey now, is working and partnering with people who can see things better than I can, but we bring different elements and flavor to the relationship. But more importantly, do you like that person first? Can you sit down and have a conversation like we're having right now with that person first? Can I have a coffee with you?
Yes.
Can I sit in the car with you for 8 hours, and can we have a good conversation, and is there trustworthiness there, and do we have the same ideas and visions? And so that's what I've done, and having fun with it.
Congratulations. I'm assuming, even though you didn't say that, I'm assuming you don't regret quitting that job and starting on this journey of being an entrepreneur.
No regrets at all. I think life itself is just such a fun journey, and I think you just have to embrace it. You embrace the ups and the downs, and the wins and the losses, and I think for anybody who's listening, if you have kids, put them into sports, put them into some type of a team activity, because I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was the importance of understanding losing, and then how do you come back from that loss. I think most of the wins that you get is from losing.
Yeah.
Right. You don't really, when you succeed at something, well, that just means you executed the plan correctly. But when you lose at something, well, now you can learn. Now you can go back to that drawing board and say, what did I do wrong? How do I correct it? And how do I approach it differently? And try to tackle that again, or tackle something different.
There's such a gift to that, and that ability to be resilient and come back on after a failure or a mistake or a loss. Is really, I think, what differentiates people that will eventually become really successful whatever they're doing, because they are continuously learning on the lessons and implementing and integrating. Tell me a little bit about what the businesses that you currently own right now that are operational.
So what's operational? So we're still doing the private investing, so that's still going. And we're very unique in that particular style of investing, where we do a lot more rural properties. And we did touch on that before we got the cameras rolling. And then we've also got Smart Home Choice, which is the education company. And it's a very small niche, I would say, investment club as well too. I'll share something with you, which I think is important. I was talking about this last night with a few investors, is that I put this cap on myself. And this is the importance of mindset. And I remember when I started, I said, I want to help 100 investors get to financial freedom. And so then we started membership. Yeah, and I started this membership, and I said, we will not go over 100 members. I've never broken 100 members because I capped myself. You know what I mean? And so I want
it
people to
wasn't your
understand.
mission statement.
Yeah, it was just like, I want to help 100 people. And we got to like, we would get to like 92, 93, then we'd drop back to 80, then 70, and back up to 80. And we could never, and I'm like, okay, can we get to 100? I've never gotten to 100.
Interesting.
But I'm comfortable with that because I'm not looking to be the biggest and the largest investment club. I like the community that we've created. It's small. It's family. When people come into the room, they hug each other. It's a good feeling, and so I have enjoyed that. What we've created, my wife and I, and my team as well too. And it's about also not just educating the investors that come into the room, or even homeowners, people that come out or are looking for the first time, but also myself. Every time I am in that room, I enjoy it. And I'll tell you this as well, is that, you know, when we're done, like I'm like, oh, I'm so happy we did it again. And then when we start ramping up for another one, I'm like, oh, God, I want to do this again. But every time I do, and when you get that energy and you see how it changes and impacts people's lives, there's something rewarding about it. It really is. And so that does bring joy to me. I do enjoy that part of it, and helping allow people see themselves better than who they are, or realizing that, hey, I can change my life if I decide to. And I always like to add the mindset piece into it as well too. Not just the technical. I think the mindset is actually more important than the technical.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's smart home choice, kind of like in a nutshell.
I love that. I say it's never about real estate.
No.
You know, it never really is.
No.
It's about what's in here,
Yeah.
and it's coming through it. And the vehicle that you're using to bring that expansion to yourself is real estate. It could be real estate, or amongst other things.
And that's a good point that you said that, because I remember when I started saying it on my podcast back in 2015, 2016, I was like, I don't like real estate. And my wife was like, you can't say that. You have a real estate investment club, and you know, like that's all you do in your team. I'm like, I know, but it's the truth. And it just felt like I was like, I got to tell the truth. And then the more I looked at it, I'm like, but it's true. However, I like what real estate does for me.
Yes.
Who wakes up and says, I want to be a landlord? Nobody. Yeah. You do it because of what it does. It helps to protect your wealth, and that's why you're doing it. And you're doing it to allow you to have more time. Yes. That's what we're all chasing, right? Like I did a talk a couple weeks ago on, you know, when you first start off, you're looking for financial freedom, because that's at that time that maybe you're 9 to 5 or you're doing something you don't like. You want financial freedom. But really, when you get to that, then it's really, you want time freedom. That's really what you're chasing, is more time, because that's finite. And then after that, there was geographical freedom. You know, COVID taught me that. I need to not be locked down ever again. And so then I want to be able to now create businesses that don't lock me down, that allows me to now at least see the world, because I'm at this stage of my life now where I'm still young. Yes. But I want to see the world. I want to see other parts. I want to see things that I haven't seen yet, and enjoy the journey, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in building these businesses, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're locked in, and you're like, what did I do? I just broke out of this jail, and now I'm creating this other jail.
Golden handcuffs.
Yeah, and so you do have to be careful, and I think taking that break every summer allowed me to at least have those little mini retirements, but now it's also allowed me to realize what else is important in my life, and then having the right team around me to then be able to say, okay, what do I do? What is next? And I think, you know, we're always transforming. We're always rediscovering ourselves. But I do have a whiteboard. I do map it out. But while I've mapped it out, sometimes you do take an off ramp and go somewhere else, and I think that's important.
What are some places that are on top of your list to travel to?
Well, I do want to go to Costa Rica. I haven't been down there yet. I do want to go to Europe. I've been to Spain, I've been to England, but I really want to explore Europe. I haven't been there. I want to go to Italy, and I want to go to maybe even like Portugal. I want to go to like China. I would like to go to Japan. I want to see Australia. Like I just want to see the world. I want to see Africa. You know what I mean? Like I want to, because it's so big. And I take a look at the map and like there's only a few places I've really kind of been, and I keep kind of going back. I'm going back to Jamaica, and then I go to Mexico, and then so I want to move from those areas and really go out there and explore and see other parts of the world. And then I started following this couple on YouTube, and so they sold their home in Canada, and now they're exploring the world, and they were very nervous to do it, and they're documenting their journey. And what they realized is that there's places that they can live that for the whole month will cost them what it would cost you to get a hotel downtown Toronto for 2 days. And you don't realize sometimes how much money you actually have. And there's this one quote, I don't remember who said the quote, but they had mentioned it. And he said that if you can't get rid of the things that you own, you don't own it. It owns you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and I'm like, and you hear those things, you're like, that's Ostapenko.
Yeah.
And then it sticks with you. And so
this, if anything, this was our biggest learning going through the last couple of years. I feel very blessed and privileged to how quickly we were able to grow wealth through real estate.
Yeah.
I was seeking wealth, and in my case, I was seeking wealth to help. It started with helping my mom. I wanted to help my mom. She had moved in with us. She was going through some, health issues, and I'm like, oh my goodness, now I have to take care of my 2 little kids and my mom.
right.
How can I support all of us? Where can I find wealth? And this is what led me to real estate. So, and then we did find it as we kept, investing in real estate and taking a lot of action, learning a lot of lessons. And I mean, I can earn a lot more wealth, and I plan to, and I know abundance is coming. But the biggest lesson that we had was once we had quite a bit of money in our bank account, we went and we bought things. Like most people do. We bought this house, which we love.
Yeah.
I bought a new car. We kind of expanded our lifestyle. And looking back, we're like, this is beautiful. Like, I love it. I love the time that we get to spend here.
Yep.
But what could we be doing if we didn't have to put such a large portion of what we make into our lifestyle?
Right.
How much freedom you can achieve. And that's really understanding what freedom looks like.
Right.
And what that feels like. Because we love traveling. We plan and we are really intentional traveling like once every quarter.
Yep.
But I've never been to Europe.
Right.
So, I love to go there as well.
Let me ask you this question. Are you and your husband, are you guys opposites?
In which way?
Like just maybe, I don't know, in life or in business? Like me and my wife are. And I ask this question a lot of times when I'm doing my podcast.
Yes.
And a lot of times we're opposites. But those opposites, I think, when you're younger, you don't realize the importance of it. At least I didn't. I'm like, oh my God, why is she so opposite from me? Like I want to jump out of a plane, and she does not want to. She wants to lay in the beach. Like I'm more ambitious. Like I'll jump into the water. Like damn, that's cold. She's like she'll put her toe in. But now that we understand each other and we see how opposite we are from a business standpoint, it works really good because there are things that she sees and does that I can't, and there's things that I'll do that she can't. But then also now too understand the differences even in her personal life. You can see the difference and realize that, hey, look, let's go and do this. And she'll like, well, let's kind of be a little more reserved and do that. And so as long as you can see and understand the difference and understanding how to talk that language for each of the partners, it can make a huge difference. Because there's certain things that I would never want to do, certain things that she wouldn't want to do, but if you're open to it, it can really help.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we definitely have a gas and brakes type of relationship, and to be honest, at different times we kind of switch back and forth.
Yes.
It's very often that I'm a really big thinker. I'm a visionary. I'm a creator. So I'm always like, I have a new business idea. Let's go do all these crazy things. And he's like, okay, I'll keep running my business that I've been running for 15 years, and keep working at it. Which is interesting. What's interesting about that is often when I get to a place where I'm literally ready to jump, I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's too much responsibility. What if it goes wrong? It's all going to be my fault. And he'll be like, no, just do it. Like, you've done all this work. You've done all this planning, all this preparation. Like, I'm here. Just jump.
All right.
And then he gives me that like last push to be like, okay, then let me go soar,
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your venture in the US, because I know you are partnering down there and looking to acquire some apartment buildings.
Yeah,
so tell me a little bit about that.
There's an apartment building that's under contract right now. It's a 97-unit building in Cleveland, Ohio. We've got Nate Atkins, Neil D'Souza, Thomas Lorraine, Ian, Manny, and the legal team and the accounting team and all that. And a little bit of a unique structure the way that we're doing it, but yeah, we're excited about it. The numbers make a lot of sense down there. I always ask, like the 5 whys, and I think everybody should always ask this in anything that they do. It's like, why now? Why is now the right time to, whether it's either start this business or start a journey or to do something in your life? And then when you really get into the world of real estate investing, is like, well, why this market? And so then you want to dig into it, like, what's the landlord, or the relationship between landlord and tenants, and what infrastructures in that particular area, what businesses are there, why the strategy, like, what is it that you're doing? Is it a value add? Is it higher and best use? And why this deal? And so then you take a look at that deal and you kind of break it down, you analyze the number, and I think after everything that's happened in the last 2.5 years, it's important to understand your numbers. And so understanding the deal, and I'm always been big on cash flow and not speculating. And then the last question you always kind of ask is, well, why us? Why would you want to invest with us, or anybody that you might want to partner with, right? And what is it that they bring to the table? Do those partners complement each other, and how do they do that, and what do they bring? And so those are things that we sat down and kind of looked at and asked ourselves, and that's one of the reasons why we ended up moving down in that area where we can bring our investors. I'm always big on, we talked about this earlier, the community that we've built, and in that level of trust. And throughout my whole entire journey, I've always kind of moved from different markets, but making sure that those 5 whys are answered correctly, and that we instill that level of trust that they want to either do it themselves or do it with us.
I love that. So you're bringing in financial partners to come in and invest with you. What's the structure that you're using there?
So we've got the whole GP, LP structure.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I bring to this is I'm not technically strong. And so this is where the
what do you mean?
Well, what I mean is I'm more of like a visionary. I'm more of like hey, this is a journey that we're going on, and this is the team that I'm doing it with. And so each of them bring in different unique strategies than I do. And so the investors, the people that have followed me, whether it be on my podcast, whether it be being in that room, it's a level of trust that they do they trust me or not trust me. And so I've been doing this now for 16 years, and so that's kind of what I bring to that table of like, this is where we're going next. So whether it be I was investing in Durham region, or moving out into Peterborough, or now moving back into Toronto, or now moving into the US, it's always been that level of trust of this is why we're doing it, and this is the team that I've built around me that have the know-hows, and they know what they're doing, whether it be from designing, or whether it be the contracts, or whether it be the like, I think people have to understand is that you can't know it all and you can't do it all. And so then in the beginning I used to like, okay, but I gotta know. No, now I know what my strength is.
I know who knows.
This is what I'm good at, and I'm focused in this particular area, and then I'm going to bring in the people around me to then help guide me protect me, and do that through trust. And do I like those people? Like I said earlier, like making sure that I have that the trustworthiness, and are they authentic, and is it somebody that I want to go on a journey with, and do they kind of have that same vision as me? Super, super important. And so I kind of know where I fit into the picture.
I love that. Getting to know people outside of a transactional context is so important for that reason.
Yeah.
It's I recently met with somebody with the intention of creating potentially a business together.
Yeah.
And it just felt so rocky. Because I'm like, we're meeting already, talking like transaction and business, and there was no trust there. We just met each other. There was no like, I didn't know his story, he didn't know mine. We didn't really, we came highly recommended from other people.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I need to slow this down. Like, if we're to do anything, that's the answer right now is no.
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
Let's, hang out, spend time together, and then we'll go from there and see where that leads us.
Yeah.
That's a shift that I've made,
Right.
In my own learning how to attract the right partners and people into my life is slowing down enough to get to know you first before, jumping into something so transactional right away.
Right.
Without building that trust.
Yeah, 100%. Right. And because, my strength lies in something in a different area, I have to have that trust in those people that are stronger in those areas. Like even like the different businesses I've started, like even like with whether it be Deep Pockets or whether it be me joining forces with a brokerage and growing that, and my accountant will say, Gary, look, you know what, here are the issues that I see. Perfect. Now I know that these are the problems. I'm the entrepreneur. Protect me. And I now feel strong with these partners here because we have the same vision, and I'm going to move forward. Or I'm not going to, but the accountant is an accountant because they're not risk takers.
Yes, literally.
So I think you have to always remember that a lot of times, like, well, my accountant said no, so I shouldn't do it, or my lawyer said no, I shouldn't do it. Well, hold on a second. Protect me.
Yeah.
Protect me. I now know. Now, do I trust my partners over here? And then you either move forward or you don't move forward. But at the end of the day, most of the things that I've done, I would have never done them if I only just listened to my accountant and my lawyer. They're still important to me, but I just need to understand where are the things that could go wrong, and do I feel comfortable knowing that the people that I'm partnering with, and do I trust them? Can I listen, at the end of the day, if I'm shaking your hand and I can look you in the eye and I feel there's a certain level of trust as well there too, fine. If I got to now turn to the legal aspect of it, then you know what, I made a bad decision. So you have to be aware of that as well too.
I think understanding what their purpose is there.
Yeah.
Your contents, the purpose is to make sure everything's structured correctly for tax
sure.
efficiency.
For sure.
Right? And so your lawyer wants to make sure legally you're protected from different angles.
Yeah.
So what is their purpose? What questions to ask them so that you can make the best possible decision for your business at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And in some of those businesses as well too, like my lawyer, their lawyer, they go back and forth, and we get to this point of, okay, this is where we are right now. We were able to bend on a couple things. Okay, cool. Okay, now we're good. Or you know what? It's not going to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you do need that.
Yeah, I love that. I do have one question that I ask every guest that comes on the podcast. Before I do that,
is it a hard question?
No.
Okay.
No, don't worry.
I don't mind. I love hard questions anyways.
Is there anything else that you wanted to dive into or talk about?
Is there anything else that I want to dive into? I would say, like, if somebody was watching this and they're in a time in their lives where they feel that they're not happy maybe with their 9 to 5, or maybe they are in real estate right now and things aren't going the way that they want it to go, I would say do this exercise. I think this is a very, very important exercise, and I did this in the beginning, and I do this every year and every 6 months. Is write down 50 things that you want in your life, and most people can't.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot of things.
Write down 50 things that you want in your life, and the reason why it's important is that what you want to do is to then allow yourself to dream. I think a lot of times people forget to dream. They're so caught up in this rat race and going to work and taking this kids to this, and they forget about what they want. But just write down 50 things. from world tour to paying off a $500 credit card to whatever it is. Just write it all down. And then when you do that, take a look at that list and then put numbers beside it. And I think I shared this before too with Elizabeth Kelly. I know I've shared it before, but I think it's really important for your listeners, is put a 1, 3, 5, or a 10 beside it. And then anything that has a 1 beside it goes on your whiteboard, and everything else is put in your drawer. Don't worry about those ones because those are too big or too daunting. And then you focus on the ones that have a 1 because those are things that you can do this year. And then put an asterisk beside the 4 things, and then write down why do you want them. And maybe do about 2 or 3 whys, because when the why gets stronger, the how gets easier.
Oh, thanks.
Right? And then that now will be your guiding star. Thing that you can now you wake up to and like, there's my whiteboard, this is what I want to do with my life. And then like I talked about earlier at the beginning, you can now change. You can now change if you decide to today that you're going to now turn over a new leaf and focus on those 4, 5, 6 things that you want to achieve this year. And I promise you that if you do that and work hard at it, you'll be surprised at what you can achieve. And then now you're actually now, instead of just flowing down the river of life, you're actually now designing a life. And I think that's what everybody wants to do, is they want to design a life, but they just don't know how to. And I think those are the first kind of building blocks on how to do it, because purpose is stronger than object.
Yes.
And when you have a strong purpose, it'll pull you through those difficult times. But if you don't have a strong purpose, well, then you'll drown in those difficult times. And you'll feel like life is unfair. And that, why am I here? What am I doing? What is the purpose? But if you have purpose, well, then that changes your whole entire life.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. What would you say are in your top ones right now?
I would say it would be traveling. Yeah, that's what we want to do now. Is we want to travel. We want to travel. We want to see the world and sit on planes and watch TV. But I want to be like in those pods, and you know what I mean. And I want to see the cathedral. I want to see the pyramid. I want to ride on a camel. Like I want to just experience things, and that's what I want to do. I want to kind of start working on that and taking a look at some of the businesses that I have and see what works and what doesn't work, and how can I continue to operate while I'm not always here. Like I still love to work.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever leave.
Yeah.
And I always ask this question to people that, well, I want to retire.
What are you gonna do?
Go lay on the beach for a year. Go lay on the beach for a year.
Bored out of your mind.
I'm telling you can't do it.
2 weeks, I'm good.
Yeah, you can't do it. And so you always need some type of something that's pulling you to the future.
Purpose is a great word.
Yeah.
So you need a purpose.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, but while you have that purpose, I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go to Dubai. I want to, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, that's
Why not?
amazing.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, say there's a broadcast that goes out, there's an emergency alarm on everybody's phone, you got to watch and listen to this right now. What message would you share with everybody?
I would say 3 things, and I attribute this to Jim Rohn. And these are three things that I keep very close to me. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't ask for less problems, ask for more skills. Work hard in your job, you can make a living. Work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. This was a good one. Thanks again, Gary, for being here. I appreciate you. Where can people find you?
I think the best way to find me right now is Instagram, Gary Hibbert. You can find me there. I'm pretty responsive over there. You can go to smarthomechoice.ca. And my email, Gary@smarthomechoice.ca.
Amazing. Make sure to listen to Gary's podcast. Yes, I have an episode there as well. So we do a lot of really, really good guests.
A couple episodes there.
Now, yeah. Returning guests. I love it.
Awesome.
Make sure to listen. Really good, solid advice and good guests that you have on there. Thanks again for being here. And I would like you to be a repeat guest sometime.
Yes, I would
Come on
love
back,
that.
and
Yes.
you can tell me all about your trips and
Yes.
where you've been to.
I hope so by then. I better be, or else it wasn't really on my whiteboard. So you're gonna hold me accountable now.
Are you in Egypt yet? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Thanks again,
Thank you.
and we'll see you soon.
Yes, awesome, great show. Thank you.